parents and students. My name is Stevie Kreft. I'm an instructional coach and technology integration specialist for Kingston City Schools, and we just wanted to take a moment here to share with you guys how we're going to use the platform Teams from Microsoft, and for you as students, where you need to go, how you get in, and just some of the basics of what you need to know in order to get your work done here. We at Kingston City Schools recognize that this is new for many of you, and we want to make this process as streamlined as possible. So through this video, we're going to take a look at some of the key features that you need to know about and better navigating the platform. Now, just to make sure that you know, if you have any technical issues or you need some technical assistance, please feel free to reach out to our call center. The number here, 845-943-3020. And we're going to click on, or we're going to press option 1. So keep that in mind. If you need any technical assistance, we have a wonderful team of IT specialists working to help you as best as they can. So for this training, in this session, we're going to take a look at the team setup, how you're going to log in, and talk a little bit about the issues that you may be having with logging in. We're going to take a look at the Teams interface. We're also going to take a look at how to find and submit our assignments. And then finally, we'll talk about how we use the chat in an educational space. So with that, let's take a look at the Teams setup and also how do we log in. So to begin, we're going to start right here at the Kingston City Schools District homepage, kingstoncityschools.org. Up top, we have our drop downs for our different sections. We're going to just use the student area for this presentation. Once I hover my mouse over students, you're going to notice that I have a drop down here for things like online resources from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. If I need some additional resources, they're here. Then under that, we have access, or a button here for Clever. So if you need to jump over to Clever, you have that here. Below that, we have access to a quick guide for Teams. So as you're using or you're going through this work here together, you may need the written copy of this process or this presentation. This is a good place to look. This quick guide will kind of walk you through all the steps that we're going over here in video format. Below that, we have our Office 365 login space, and this is where we're going to go to find Teams. Now, if I have an issue with my password, not being able to remember what that password is, or I need to update it, right here below that is our link for that password update tool. So we're going to just jump right into it. We're going to go right to Office 365/email. I'm going to click on that link. What it'll do is it'll bring me to this Kingston City Schools login page. Now, students, your login is the same ID or cafeteria number, lunch number that you use on a computer. You're going to use that here. So you're going to type that in here. But what's different from when you're at school, when you're at home, you're going to have to add this at kingstoncityschools.org. So the @ sign using the shift and the number 2 to give you that little A in the circle. We're going to use that at kingstoncityschools.org. Once I've had this typed in, the password is going to be whatever password you use normally at school. So whatever that is, when you're logging into a computer, that same password, you're going to use it here. Again, if you have any issues with that, feel free to head back over to the home page, and on the drop down for students, you can click on this Office 365 password update tool. So once I have this all logged in or put in properly with my at Kingston City Schools, I'm going to go ahead and click sign in. I can click yes if that prompt comes up. And then I'm dropped off here at our Office 365 homepage for Kingston. Now yours may look a little different. I went in here and I did some adjustments by using the tool here on the side to make my space a little unique to myself. But from the home page, we have access here to things like Outlook, our email We have access to our cloud drive. It's called OneDrive. So if you need to save stuff online, you can do that through OneDrive. Then we have access to all of our applications for Office, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. You probably won't see the SharePoint issue or SharePoint area, but you will see Teams. And that's where we're going to focus our attention in for this training. So let's go ahead and click on Teams. And once Teams loads up here, what we're going to see to begin is we're going to see all of our classes. So as you can see here, here's all my classes that I'm enrolled in. Now you may see a simple, Mr. Krebs class, depending on which teacher you have. So they might have changed the title, so it's a little easier to find. Or you may have the course code. So in this case, I have English 5.7. Either way, these are going to be the classes that you're currently enrolled in and that you're going to want to pay attention to. Now, off to the side, we have our quick links. So as you can see here, I have my activities, my chat, my teams, assignments, calendars, calls, and files. Now, you may not have all these additional things underneath, but the main three, the top three area here, these are the things that we use on a regular basis. And for the most part, it is where we find most of our work. So our activities area is going to show you, as is said in the title, any activity that's been taking place in any of the teams. So if you get an announcement, if you get an assignment, if you get the teacher may have said something to the whole class, this is where you'll see it in the activities area. And the notifications inside Teams is very similar to that of a cell phone. Since I wasn't here when these notifications came in, you're going to note that I have a little circle, red circle with a number in it that lets me know how many notifications I have for each area. From here as well, I have access to all of my teams. As I said before, I can click on Teams and see all the teams that are here. If I need to, I can adjust these and move them around. So if you like to have your classes kind of organized based on, first period, second period, third period, or, you have a certain class that you tend to do a lot more work and you need to move it to the front, you can definitely do that by just dragging and dropping them wherever you want to go. Now, keep in mind, I am showing you this on a PC. This is also going to be the scenario for folks who are using a Mac, whether it be a laptop or a Mac desktop, it's going to look the same. If you're using a cell phone, it may look a little different to you. So keep in mind, when we're using the cell phone, your layout is going to be different. And we kind of explained a little bit about that inside the quick guide. But for this presentation, we're going to be using a PC here. And as you can see, I have all my classes here. I'm able to click in and go to a class. So I'm going to jump into Mr. L's class. And as you can see, I'm greeted with the class title here, the class logo as well. Then I have a general space. The general space is going to be, as the title implies, it's going to be general stuff. So things that is just for your class, general things for your class. Now I may have underneath that, just depends on the teacher, depends on the space, but I may have additional channels down here. And those channels might direct me to certain things. Like let's say we're covering Unit 1 or we're going over fractions. It may have a channel here. And what that'll do is it'll allow me to jump over to, let's say it was fractions. I could jump into fractions and the work that's in that area, it's going to be about fractions. So if the teacher may have left a video for me or PowerPoint about fractions, I can always go to that fraction section and take a look inside and see what's going on. But for most, you're going to just start off with a general channel here, and this will have the general information for your class. Once I go into this area here, this is what we call in the Microsoft space, we call this the we space. So this is where everybody in your team, so your students, your peers, and your teacher, we're all working in this space together. So anything that I write down at the bottom goes to everybody in that space. And we're going to talk about the chat and using conversations in a bit. But think of it like a Facebook feed or Instagram feed where there's a lot of information coming in. It'll show up on this area, or you can scroll through and see more stuff. Up top, we have our post area. That's where we are right now. We may have files that the teachers left for me to take a look at, and that'll be here. We have a class notebook space. A class notebook is a very powerful tool. Some teachers are going to be using it with you. Others may not. It just depends on the type of space that you guys are working in digitally together. But class notebook, great digital note-taking tool where you can fill in forms and do different work using a digital notebook. Then next to that is our assignments area. And the assignments area has the stuff that I need to work on, things that I may have left to do, whether it be the assigned stuff here or something that I might have already completed. And we're going to talk about that in a sec. Then we have our graded area. So any assignments that I've done that has been graded, if I click on this, it'll show me my assignments, if I've turned it in or not, and what the grade is on that assignment. So jumping back over to the post area, you can see here that in the feed, I have an assignment that was due. I can click on it from here, or I can go back to the assignments area and click on it from there. As was said, I kind of completed this assignment, but I'm gonna open this assignment back up. So here's my assignment. I need to work on this because I might not have done everything that I wanted to do. So I'm gonna go back and take a look at it. But here's what it's gonna look like when I open my assignment. I have my turn in button here on the side. We have our name of our assignment, the due date is listed right underneath it. We have instructions here from the teacher for me to follow. And then under here, I have an area for my work and also my resources. For this assignment, the teacher hasn't given me any resources. And what a resource would be is a file or document that I can open it, I can review it, I can read it, but I don't have edit rights. So I can't really change anything on it. It's just there for me to look at. So it's like a article or something that they need me to read, it'll be there. Under that, you'll see my work, and here is documents that the teachers assigned to me that I should be working with or editing. So as you can see, I have a worksheet. I'm gonna open that up. And all I have to do is to click on it in order to open it up. Now this is where we've been having a few folks can't figure out what to go next. So here I open this document and I wanna click and work on this, but it's not working. Nothing's happening. I can't edit this document. Why? Well, it's because the way Teams work, we're gonna actually have to open this again. This is just giving us a preview of my document that I need to work with. Up top here, you'll see that I have accessibility mode, immersive reader, and then edit document. If you don't see this, you just see the 3 dots, and you can also, in your case, because I have this option, I have the edit document button here. But some of you may just have the 3 dots and you have to click on that to see the edit document option. So once I click on edit document, here I have 2 options. Option A, edit in the desktop app, and option B is to edit in the browser. So we click on edit in browser. Now I have access to, actually going in here, typing in the information I need. I could, write whatever I need to write in. This process, when we're using the online or browser version, or even the desktop version as well, the new Office 365 platform auto saves our work. So keep this in mind. You won't have to keep clicking save and going through that process. All you have to do is just keep on typing. Just keep an eye up here. It'll let you know if the document has been saved or not. It should save every few seconds to just make sure that you have all of your information there. Now, while working in the document, when I'm done, let's say I finished all my work here, finished all this up, I do not have to upload or share this with a teacher or do anything like that. All I have to do at this point is just click close if I was editing into my browser here, or if it came up as a separate tab, because that happens every once in a while where this, instead of opening it up directly in Teams, you may have it open a new tab. All we have to do is just close the new tab and get back into Teams and you're fine. It'll auto save as long as it's been attached. And when I say attached, I mean when you look at the document here, it's a part of my assignment. As long as I click close, I am good to go. I don't have to worry about constantly saving. Now, while we're here, I just want to show you guys this really quick and simple tool. Let's say typing isn't my forte. I'm not the quickest with it. Instead of wasting too much time and trying to peck out my letters, You do have the option here for dictate. I can't use the dictate tool because I'm using this mic here to talk to you guys. But if I click on dictate and you do have a mic connected to your device, you have the option there of just speaking out your answers, and those answers will be transcribed or rewritten, typed in for you. And then all you have to do is go in there and adjust it or fix it if there's little editing features that you need to do or adjustments that you need to do. So here, I'm done with this document. I probably would want to add some information here, but I can type in what type of cell this is. Once I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and click close. And as I said, this document is now a part of my work here. I'm going to go down here to my reflections doc, and let's say I have a reflection. So I'm going to edit this real quick. So you would type in whatever you need, and just to show you what I mean by it's auto saving, as you can see up top, it's automatically saved. I'm gonna go ahead and click close. And when I go back to this reflections document, that was the document that I just had open. Now when I open it up, notice what I just typed is already there. I didn't have to save anything. I didn't have to share this document out. When I say share, a lot of folks have been doing this. They've been going in, and let's say the teacher says, hey, I need you to go ahead and make me a Word document on your reflections. And they'll go in, they'll click on new blank document, and then they'll use this share button up here and then type their teacher's name in there. What that does is it sends an email out to your teacher, and it doesn't actually put it into your assignment. So the teacher isn't going to get your document in the assignment. They're just going to get this random email with a document from you. So when you're working in this space, even if, like I said, you wanted to create your own document, just click on add your own work, click on add file, and you could create a document here. You can create a PowerPoint, and then you don't have to worry about that sharing out feature. So do all your work here inside the team space. Underneath that, I have an example of a link here. So if a teacher sent you a link, maybe it's a resource that they want you to read. So in this case, a Newsella article, I can click on the link and it drops me right into this Newsella article. I may have to sign in, especially when we're going across to another software, and that's fine if it's a software that we use in school, no big deal. I can go ahead and use my Microsoft account here and jump right back into that Newsella article, read the information here, and fill out any paperwork that I need to fill out, any activities if it's a Newsella article. So I have my article here, read it out. When I'm ready to go back over to Teams, again, just close that tab, and here I am back at my team space. Off to the side, I have my rubric here. So if there was a rubric that needs to go with this assignment, I could see exactly what the teacher wants me to do, or I might just have my point value here, which is fine as well. Up here we have our immersive reader, and with our immersive reader tool, what it allows me to do is it allows me to see this document in a different way. And it makes it a little bit easier for me to not only see the document, read the document, but I get some additional supports. Like if I needed to, I can have the document read to me.
Introduction to Teams assignment.
And I could adjust that, based on my needs. So if I need to read faster or slower, I can do that. Or if I wanted to change it to a guy,
due April 9th, 2020.
I can do that. Up here, we have some more options. And those options being in text, I can adjust the size of the text if I need it bigger or smaller, depends on me. I can increase the line spacing, which means the gap between the sentences, or I can take those off. I can change the font if I need to. And I can also do things like adjust the theme. So I like the light colored letters on the dark background. I can do that, or vice versa. Up top, I have access to grammar tools, so I can break the words up by syllable to help me read it a little better. I can add in things like nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and even label them out, so it makes it a little easier for me to identify the parts of speech. And whatever I do here, keep in mind that no matter where I go, and if I use Immersive Reader and another space, these settings are going to go with me as long as I'm logged in. Then I can go over here to this book tool, and what that does is it gives me tools like line focusing. So if I need to kind of have the reading just formatted in a way where I only see what I am reading at that time, I can do that. It kind of helps me to keep track of what I'm reading. And I can make that bigger or smaller depending on my personal preference and my personal need. Also from this reading preferences area, I have access to a picture dictionary, which is most likely going to be toggled on when you go into Immersive Reader. But what that allows me to do is when I click on a word, I get some pictures down here that helps me to identify what this word is. Keep in mind that if it's a word like of that may not have a picture that goes with it, that's just a part of a speech that doesn't have a visual for it. It may not be there. Then I also have this really powerful tool which is called Translate. So if I need the document translated into another language, I can go ahead and click on Translate, and I have access to over 60 plus languages that I can select from. Once I've selected the language, I can go ahead and select to translate by word. So if I click on a word here, I can see by word what the translation is. Or if I needed the whole document translated, I can go ahead and click on full document. And now everything in here has been translated for me. And in most cases, the software will also read to me in that language. So I can get the whole document read to me in another language as well. So really powerful tool, simple to use. Again, we find it right here in the reading preferences inside of Immersive Reader. And the Immersive Reader, you can find this icon or you can find Immersive Reader throughout the Office 365 platforms, whether you're using, if your teacher gives you a test in forms, or you're here and you got information here like on this assignment and there's words coming up or there's conversations going on, you can go ahead and click on the three dots and use Immersive Reader from anywhere inside our Office 365 platform. So keep that in mind. Easy tool to use and available for you to use throughout the platform. Now, once I am done with this assignment, it's really simple. I'm just going to click on Turn It In. I'm going to get a little animation telling me I've done my assignment and I'm good to go. Here you're going to see when you've turned in the assignment, what time it was turned in. Once this has been graded, this is where you'll see from the teacher that it's been returned, and you're going to see your actual grade or your points here that you got for the assignment. Now, let's say I hit turn in by mistake. Didn't mean to turn this in. I never even opened this PowerPoint yet. I need to fix that. You can always go back in as long as the due date hasn't passed. So this due date is all the way at the end of the week. So I got some time here. I can go back in, hit undo turn in. And what that does is it'll unlock all of my documents again for me. And then I can go in and start working on maybe, this PowerPoint that I haven't done anything with yet. So I can jump in now and start editing out this document. I click close here. And now this document I've adjusted. I now have what I need to have in there, and I can now hit turn in again. And again, I'll get an animation. Usually I get an animation letting me know that I've done it again. It's all complete. I'm ready to go. So we've went over some of the features in Teams. We kind of talked a little bit about where things are and what you need to know as it relates to getting your assignments done and how to turn in and undo turn-ins and turn in again if needed. The last thing that we're going to cover here together is going to be a little bit shorter than the other sections, but it's just as important. And that's how we use the conversations areas and the chat areas inside Teams. Conversations are open to the whole class. At the bottom of a class, you're going to notice you have this conversation space. And inside those conversation space, anything that I type there is going to my whole class and my teacher. So if there's something that you need to say directly to the teacher or confidentially with your teacher, you don't want to type it in this bottom area. That's just between me and the teacher. I'm going to open, or your teacher may have already opened, a private chat between you and them so you can share that information without sharing it out to the whole class. Down here as well, you may see it blanked out, and some teachers are opting to turn that off for the times that they're not in the classroom. So if it's blanked out or it's grayed out, it doesn't mean that anything's wrong necessarily. It just means that that conversation is not happening right now. But if you still need to speak to the teacher or reach out to the teacher, you can feel free to do that through the chat function. That way you can just direct your attention or direct your conversation to them. And there's two ways of doing that. You can open the chat directly by clicking on it. As you can tell, I'm not clicking on it, obviously, because this is my private space and I don't want to share that out with all of Kingston City Schools, and the conversations that I have here, as we said, are going to be confidential between me and that individual. But I can click over there and I can have that conversation continue, or I can jump up here and I could type in the name of the person that I would like to have a conversation with and begin that conversation. Now, this is something that you need to know as parents and also as students. The chat area is meant for educational purposes. So if you are using that space for collaboration or to communicate with the teacher, that's fine. But if you're using that space, we're not using the space for us to just have open conversations and kind of pass digital notes. It's really there for you to be able to collaborate and work with your peers and work with the teachers. I like to tell students when we do this training that, I think of like Uncle Ben from Spider-Man and his quote, that with great power comes great responsibility. So this area here, it's a lot of power there. It's an amazing tool, but you need to be responsible there. And we're asking that the parents, as your students are home, as your children are home with you, that you monitor that space. In a recap here of what we've covered, we talked today about setting up your teams and logging in using your Kingston City Schools ID number that you use at school, or your lunch number with the @kingstoncityschools.org at the end of it. Then using the same password that you use inside the school. We also showed you where to go if you forget that password right there on the Kingston City Schools website. We talked today about the Teams interface and how we use it. We looked at how to find and submit assignments as they come. We also took a look at using the chat features inside Teams and what it's used for and what it's not used for. And as you're working with your students, you may need to either review this video, or if you needed a printed out version of what we've covered here today, remember you can always go to Kingston City Schools district homepage, hover over students, and you'll have access to our Teams quick guide. Inside this Teams quick guide, we cover all the steps that we've covered here together, and then also some information about what the completion process looks like on an assignment, so you have that available for you to use at any time. And as we close this session, I just wanted to remind you, if you need to reach out to us for technical assistance with the software, whether it be Teams or any of the district software that we're using, feel free to reach out to us at 845-943-3020, selecting option 1 to be connected to our amazing IT staff that will work with you to get you the support that you need as it relates to the technology that we have. So with that, guys, again, be safe. We here at Kingston City Schools recognize the situation, and we're here to work with you and support you as best we can.